This is day 118. It is all about inefficiency. I woke up one morning already dreading the day, not because the work ahead was difficult, but because it was draining. There was a task I had to complete, a daily process filled with repetitive steps that consumed hours and left me exhausted before I could even begin the part that actually mattered. I tried to outsource this. I hired people to take pieces off my plate, but the core of the work still required judgment, creativity, and fresh thinking. Those parts could not be handed off. They had to stay with me. What struck me that morning was not that the work was hard, it was the creative part, the part I actually enjoyed. That was being robbed from me. The weight of the process was suffocating the value of the outcome. I was spending so much energy managing steps that I had nothing left for the work that required the actual insight. That is when something kind of clicked. What I was feeling was not laziness, it was not a lack of motivation, it was inefficiency. I was stuck in a system that consumed time and focus rather than enabling progress. That realization became the spark for something bigger. Inefficiency is not just wasted time, it is wasted energy, wasted momentum, and wasting your own potential. It is anything that consumes effort without producing proportional value. And once I could name it, I could see inefficiency everywhere in my life. In my routines, in my workflows, in the way I talked, in the decisions that I made. I delayed because the process of deciding felt heavier than the decision itself. I began to understand that value is created when inefficiency is removed. The marketplace seems to reward solutions that reduce friction. Every valuable product or service exists because something was too slow, too confusing, too manual, or too expensive. Someone saw the waste and built a better path. The people who win in business are not necessarily the ones with the best ideas. They are the ones who can see inefficiency clearly and then remove it. Most people tolerate inefficiency. They accept it as a cost of doing business or the price of getting things done. Builders obsess over it. They notice the extra clicks, the redundant emails, the meetings that could have been a message, the forms that ask for the same information twice. They see the places where effort piles up without producing results. That ability to notice friction becomes a competitive advantage. Innovation often begins with a simple question: why is this still so hard? Inefficiency shows up in everyday life, not just in business. It appears in personal routines that take longer than they should. It hides in communication requiring three exchanges when one exchange would have been sufficient. It lives in workflows that demand manual effort for tasks that a system could handle. It sits in decision making processes that drag on because no one is clear about who's in charge. Learning to spot inefficiency personally trains you to spot opportunity professionally. The frustration you feel in your own day may be the same frustration someone else would pay money to have solved. So here's a practice you can actually try. Ask yourself a few guiding questions. What is draining my energy every day? What takes longer than it should take? What feels unnecessarily manual or repetitive? What do people complain about but accept as normal? Where is creativity being buried under stifling process? Write that down. Do not try to solve them all at once, of course, but just notice them. The act of noticing inefficiency is the first step towards dramatic improvement. Frustration is often a signal, not a flaw. It points to something that could be better. Inefficiency is the starting line of improvement. The clearer you can see waste, the more valuable your solution becomes. When you learn to recognize the places where effort is consumed without producing results, you begin to see opportunities that others are going to miss. You start building systems that work, not ones that drain people. You create space for work that actually matters. The more clearly you can see inefficiency, the more valuable your work and the solutions you produce will ultimately become. So pay attention to what frustrates you. That frustration may be showing you exactly where the value is waiting to be built. I would start there and I would start now.